Don't think that just because you are the disciple of an emperor, you can escape punishment. Yan Su, having transcended the primal chaos realm for countless long years, had a deeper understanding of the 13 emperors of the flame-wind ancient country. The 13 emperors of the ancient country faced few external threats, which instead led to incredibly intense internal conflicts. Aside from Emperor Qin, who was somewhat detached, the conflicts among the other 12 emperors were extremely fierce. Had it not been for the suppression by the primogenitor Yan Feng, they would have probably initiated a deadly battle long ago. Given such conflicts, it was difficult for Luo Feng, even as the direct disciple of Emperor Chu, to avoid harsh punishment. I never said I wanted to escape punishment, Luo Feng laughed heartily. Yan Su, no need to delay, die first. The endless black river surged mightily towards Yan Su. Luo He. With a fierce expression, Yan Su was suddenly surrounded by two colorful divine spikes. As soon as these spikes appeared, a void array map materialized beneath Yan Su's feet, with the two spikes forming the core of the map. Kill. With the array map, the two divine spikes unleashed a terrifying destructive force, forcefully annihilating the rolling black river in front of them. Interesting, Luo Feng, towering in the distance, watched the scene unfold. With that pair of godly king weapons, his strength has at least doubled. Sadly, he is still inferior to the great Saint Bai Yun. The endless black river continuously flooded over, making Yan Su struggle desperately and feel despair. The strength difference is too great. Although he had already anticipated this outcome, Yan Su was still very anguished. He was adept at using the void against enemies, but Luo Feng's Black River world exerted stronger internal control, completely suppressing some of his domain techniques. A direct confrontation? The gap was even wider. It's over. Yan Su, controlling a pair of void divine spikes, struggled for only a few moments before being completely annihilated by the relentless crushing of the endless Black River. This complete avatar of his lasted only a few moments, and in the city he had two other weaker avatars. Those two weaker avatars were obliterated in an instant, utterly powerless to resist. Xiangjie City, although a border city, was ultimately overseen by a transcendent of the primal chaos realm. Hence it remained very safe. Over the long years, it had also attracted a large number of cultivators. Even the trade between the two ancient countries was mostly conducted here, making trade quite prosperous. Is that General Yan Su? The other one should be Great Saint Luo He? Inside Xiangjie City, there were also thousands of eternal true gods. When they sensed the sky darkening momentarily and the endless black river engulfing every part of the city, they knew something major had occurred. When they looked up and saw Luo Feng's towering figure and spotted General Yan Su confronting him high in the sky, although they couldn't hear their conversation, most recognized some of the famous figures of the land of origin, including the identity of Great Saint Luo He. Something big has happened. A monumental event. These eternal true gods were panic-stricken. In the previous long years, General Yan Su had been the sky of the entire city. He was the most terrifying entity within Xiangjie City, and his will was the city's will. But now the sky of Xiangjie City had met an even more terrifying being. General Yan Su has transcended the primal chaos realm, almost comparable to a newly advanced godly king. Yet, he couldn't overcome Great Saint Luo He even with the aid of an array. They clashed, and the disturbance from their battle didn't have any repercussions? The disturbances, all blocked by this black water. Those with some savvy could sense the horror of this black water. In the blink of an eye, it covered every part of the city, rapidly eroding and submerging General Yan Su. It's over, this battle is over. These eternal true gods, some being city military personnel, some members of trade forces from the two ancient countries, and some with notable backgrounds, now only felt sheer terror. Two terrifying beings were clashing. If they hadn't controlled the aftermath well, all the cultivators in the city would have perished. Once the fight ended, all they felt was relief. Far away from Xiangjie City in the high skies, a figure crossed through the void, which was one of Yan Su's ordinary avatars. This ordinary avatar of Yan Su, gazing towards Xiangjie City from a distance, also saw the Black River world covering the entire city, leaving no flaws. There's just no comparing, the gap is too vast. This Luo He's strength is undoubtedly the top in the primal chaos realm. Even compared to the first realm of godly king, he should be considered at a very strong level within it. Yan Su sighed inwardly. A feeling of powerlessness filled his heart. The gap was too large to the point where he couldn't even muster the will to fight. This was also the reason he saw Luo Feng and immediately wanted to offer an apology to resolve their enmity. But Luo Feng's demand for that pair of void divine spikes made it difficult for Yan Su to accept. My most precious treasures are this pair of godly king weapons. To have them taken from me, Yan Su was profoundly anguished. Besides these, he had no other valuable treasures. These godly king weapons were to him what the Star Tower and Blood Shadow Knife were to Luo Feng. It hurt to lose them. Well then, having lost the godly king weapons, I'm without a weakness now. Yan Su's eyes grew cold. This clash with Luo He has also proven one thing: having strong defensive capabilities is not enough. Offensive power must also be strong. This Luo He, already so powerful just at the transcendence of primal chaos realm. Once he becomes a godly king, improving in all aspects, he will likely become a dominant ruler of the land of origin in a short time, Yan Su thought. He had lived for endless years, his strength was substantial, and he was very familiar with the order of the land of origin, which was determined by that group of ancient rulers. Who could be called a ruler? Extreme survivability, almost impossible to kill on the land of origin. Offensive power equally terrifying. Like the ancestral god of the snow realm, even he couldn't be considered a ruler of the land of origin. It was because his offensive power was still too weak. If he had successfully cultivated the primordial bloodline, his offensive power could compare to a second realm godly king. Only then could he be called a ruler, and then the palace of two realms would be willing to invite him to join. As for now, in the eyes of the true rulers, although the ancestral god of the snow realm couldn't be killed, he posed no threat to them, merely an annoyance. Quite a few godly kings in the first realm have, over the lengthy river of time, either died or been forced to reincarnate. But this Luo He, his foundations are too deep. Yansu was very aware of this, and many forces in the land of origin knew this as well, as did Luo Feng himself, and that being in the palace of two realms. As frustrating as it was, there was nothing they could do. It was foreseeable that Luo He would become a godly king. It was foreseeable that once Luo He became a godly king, he would quickly become a dominant ruler over the land of origin. His power would surge significantly more than it had until now. But who could stop his growth? Luo He, you attack the border towns, especially those suppressing the world's entrance. You must pay a hefty price. You have transcended the primal chaos realm too briefly. You hardly understand the madness of the battles among the emperors. Once it involves you, Yansu looked on from afar. Boom! Suddenly, in the direction of Xiangjie City, the ground shook violently. It has begun. Yansu was not at all surprised. Without me controlling the sealing array, the creatures with primordial bloodline inside that world will definitely try to break out. If they really break out, your crimes would increase 10-fold or 100-fold. Boom boom boom. At this moment, the ground in the distance was shaking, and Yansu watched expectantly, hoping that some creatures with primordial bloodlines would break out. That would be very exciting. Xiangjie City. After Luo Feng annihilated Yansu's complete avatar and two weaker ones, he also collected the spoils of war. A pair of void god cones. Yansu must be incredibly upset. Luo Feng considered himself quite merciful. He did not provoke him, yet he deliberately targeted him. Merely taking his treasures was a minor punishment. If Yansu did not realize and continued to harass and retaliate relying on his clone technique, once Luo Feng himself became a godly king and his spiritual will was strong enough, he would not mind using the Yuan technique to completely dispatch him. Of course, if Yansu stopped, Luo Feng would also not spend any more effort on him. The most crucial now is the world entrance. At a thought from Luo Feng, the vast dark world rapidly shrunk to just a few billion kilometers in scope, encasing the world's entrance within a secret grand hall deep underground of the garrison mansion, at the core of the whole town. This world entrance, originally sealed by a formation, Yansu was tasked with controlling it. But having lost its controller, the array's power weakened, and the creatures with primordial bloodlines inside immediately sensed it. I don't know how to control this formation either. Deciphering a formation is no easy task. Yansu was also appointed as a guardian general, and the Flame Wind ancient country had given him an array talisman, entrusting him with the method to control it. Buzz. The thick dark world membranous wall sealed the entire world's entrance. Moreover, a mighty black river roared and enveloped the surroundings of the world entrance. Luo Feng was also standing above the black river. Thud. 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 Having lost its formation controller and its power greatly reduced, some creatures with primordial bloodlines were forcefully bearing the suppression of the formation, attacking the dark world membranous wall at the entrance. Suddenly, a claw instantly penetrated the dark world membranous wall. Outside the dark world membranous wall, however, the rolling black river suppressed it. The claw was forced back. Sounds of loud explosions. Under the significantly weakened dual suppression of the formation and the dark world membranous wall, those creatures with primordial bloodlines managed to barely penetrate the dark world membranous wall, causing loud noises that shook the ground. But the black river rolled back and forth, easily pushing them back. The dark world membranous wall also healed in the blink of an eye, continuing to encapsulate the creatures with primordial bloodlines. I thought I would need to intervene personally. Luo Feng watched the scene. His intervention this time was also to clarify some detailed situations regarding the suppressed world entrance. This world, named Xiangjie. Inside Xiangjie, were some creatures with primordial bloodlines cultivated by the primogenitor Yan Feng. Primordial bloodlines are originally from the true primordial life beyond the braided cage. The bloodline being too strong and terrifying, even a godly king, if touched directly, would likely be completely contaminated and lose themselves. Therefore, primogenitor Yan Feng, ancestral god of thunder, and others nurtured some special creatures, many of which are not native to the land of origin. Through the natural propagation of these creatures, they continuously dilute and reduce the primordial bloodline. As in Xiangjie's interior, live what are known as primal chaos realm level creatures. Like the golden scale beetle carcass that Master once gave to Luo Feng, it was a very powerful primal chaos realm creature. What are clearly primal chaos realm creatures, yet possess strength comparable to the ordinary godly king. Inside Xiangjie, there are primal chaos realm level creatures with primordial bloodlines. These belong to the weakest creatures with primordial bloodlines, and their bloodlines are the thinnest, Luo Feng thought. That's why they only assigned a transcendence of primal chaos realm to guard here. The Flame Wind ancient country also has some creatures with stronger primordial bloodlines, born with emperor level strength. But those creatures are heavily imprisoned, all personally guarded by powerful godly kings. According to intelligence, primal chaos realm creatures, even with primordial bloodlines because of their low intelligence, generally do not match the primal chaos realm cultivators who cultivate primordial bloodlines, Luo Feng thought. Transcendents of primal chaos realm such as Desert Wind City Lord after all have high intelligence and high realm. They cultivate entry into primordial bloodlines, effectively becoming another kind of primordial bloodline creature. Suppressing primal chaos realm creatures is quite effortless, Luo Feng thought, and a massive amount of Black River merged into the Dark World membranous wall. When fully 50 billion streams of Black River merged into the Dark World, those creatures with primordial bloodlines could no longer smash through the membranous wall. I had prepared to intervene personally. Even prepared using the Star Tower to suppress the world entrance. It seems now, it's unnecessary, Luo Feng sat down cross-legged. He had stormed into the border town, killed Yen Su. The Flame Wind ancient country could mostly just administer some punishments according to the law, which wasn't much. After all, conflicts among the powerful are quite normal in the land of origin. But if it caused a group of creatures with primordial bloodlines to escape, the punishment would be severe. Time passed. One by one the creatures with primordial bloodlines originally still furiously attacking the Dark World membranous wall, but since they couldn't break through continuously with low intelligence, these crazed creatures soon left. Now let's see what punishment the Flame Wind ancient country will have, Luo Feng thought, while his avatar Far in Chu capital immediately went to visit his master, Emperor Chu. Palace of Emperor Chu. The burly figure sitting cross-legged inside the hall looked at Luo Feng walking in and couldn't help but smile. My disciple, have you come to see me about the matter with Xiangjie City? That Yen Su had a grudge with the disciple which prompted the disciple to act, Luo Feng said respectfully. The disciple was reckless. Cultivators, who doesn't have a temper? Emperor Chu shook his head and smiled. However, as my disciple, you always come to me because of some grievances, but you never come for cultivation matters. Do you also think that I'm not good at teaching disciples? Luo Feng quickly shook his head. No, I think Master is very good at teaching disciples. Very good. Emperor Chu was surprised. How do I not know myself that I'm good? How am I very good? Emperor Chu pursued, keen to see how the disciple would explain. Last time Master summoned the disciple, he inquired about the disciple's cultivation puzzle. The disciple has been painstakingly contemplating the Trinity form, to no avail, Luo Feng stated. It was Master who gifted the disciple a corpse of a golden scale beetle, allowing the disciple to research a more sophisticated, 10 directions world form, to accumulate enough experience before studying the relatively simple Trinity form. The disciple also took the primordial crystal spirit fruit previously bestowed by Master, and upon careful enlightenment, indeed made a breakthrough, Luo Feng continued, and as a result his power greatly increased. The primordial crystal spirit fruit and the corpse of the golden scale beetle were both gifted by the Master. Having achieved the Trinity form, naturally I must thank Master. Moreover, the corpse of the golden scale beetle even helped Morosa become a godly king. Morosa now controls 6 branches of the great Tao of destruction origin, which I can directly observe and contemplate, greatly aiding my cultivation in the great Tao of destruction origin. Master's gifts led to great advancements on both life and destruction paths of my cultivation. Luo Feng felt that with Master's presence, his cultivation path became much smoother. From the sound of it, you becoming the first to transcend the primal chaos realm was also due to my guidance. Emperor Chu found it amusing too. He hadn't instructed in detail, merely bestowed treasures and provided some pointers, and the disciple had broken through. Emperor Chu also understood. It was the extraordinary talent of the disciple. Even without his help, it might have taken the disciple a bit more time to understand it on his own. As for the matter of Xiangjie City, you don't need to worry too much. Emperor Chu ended the small talk. As long as you make sure that no primordial bloodline creatures escape, the punishment for this matter will ultimately be limited. Luo Feng nodded. I am currently suppressing that world entrance so those primordial bloodline creatures cannot escape. However, you should still be more cautious in your actions in the future, Emperor Chu said. If the primordial bloodline creatures were to escape, then the punishment would be severe enough to affect your cultivation path. Always remember, not all of Flame Wind ancient country's punishments can be shielded by me. After all, I am not the reigning emperor, said Emperor Chu. The disciple understands, Luo Feng responded. His confidence to act came in part from his own strength. Furthermore, as a palace-class godly king-level secret treasure, the Star Tower was naturally adept at suppression and sealing. Luo Feng could sense that the true power of the Star Tower far exceeded that of a first realm of godly king palace treasure, and even with his full effort, he couldn't shake it the slightest bit. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng with his third disciple's exceptional talent, creating his own secret techniques and becoming the first to transcend the primal chaos realm. It was not impossible for his future strength to rival his own. Your potential and talent are both very high and you will come into contact with many things in the future. Emperor Chu addressed Luo Feng. I won't hide it from you, out of the imperial clan's 13 emperors, except for Emperor Qing, the other 12 when they fight, they don't hesitate to do whatever it takes. Luo Feng felt a shock in his heart. Do whatever it takes? Luo Feng looked at his master. Out of the 13 emperors of the imperial clan, 5 cultivated through the power of primordial force and primordial materials, and I, your master, also cultivated through the power of primordial force, Emperor Chu explained to Luo Feng. The other 6 cultivated through the primordial bloodline. Luo Feng listened attentively. He indeed had very little understanding of the intelligence related to the cultivation of emperors. He only knew that some emperors cultivated the primordial bloodline. As for who practiced it and how many, he was not clear on the specifics. Primordial bloodlines affect the physical body and even corrupt the soul, said Emperor Chu. Those with primordial bloodlines generally have worse temperaments. The 12 emperors have many internal conflicts, but ultimately, they are divided into factions. We 5 who cultivate through primordial force and primordial materials form one faction. The 6 who cultivate through the primordial bloodline form another faction, Emperor Chu stated. The current imperial monarch, Emperor Fu, is quite special. Emperor Fu once cultivated the primordial bloodline, reaching the strength of an emperor. Later on he chose to reincarnate, abandoning that path, Emperor Chu explained. Reincarnation, while it can free him from the physical corruption and soul pollution, cannot erase the pollution of memories. After abandoning the path of the primordial bloodline, Emperor Fu's cultivation and formation techniques, refining his body with formations, re-achieved the status of an emperor, said Emperor Chu. He is very likely to be the next Emperor Qing. Luo Feng absorbed these secrets. The current emperor had reincarnated? Based on my intelligence, those who relied on the primordial bloodline had the fastest strength increase but also the most problems later on. Those who cultivated through the power of primordial force and primordial materials were also potent, with no hidden dangers. Not relying on any external aid for cultivation is the hardest path. Emperor Fu is following this path, particularly through formation techniques. Emperor Fu has connections with the primordial bloodline faction, as he was once a member. Now that he has abandoned that path and remains completely sober, all sides tend to support him as the emperor, Emperor Chu disclosed. Luo Feng understood. On the surface, Emperor Chu governs with the other 11 emperors divided into 2 major factions, while Emperor Qing remains aloof. But in reality, aside from Emperor Qing, the other 12 are all competing against each other. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. It's not just us, the monarchs of the Thunder ancient country, and some truly powerful ancient beings on the land of origin. Each one is competing for the path of the great Tao. One must compete. Even primogenitor Yan Feng and primogenitor of Thunder, these 2 ancestors are also groping in the dark. They too are battling for their lives. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng sensed a lot of information. Primogenitor Yan Feng and the primogenitor of Thunder should both be beings who have transcended the ultimate realm of God King. The legacies and resources they left behind in the 2 ancient countries are immensely vast. They too are battling for their lives? Everyone will die. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. Even the 2 ancestors might die at any moment. Luo Feng's heart trembled. Want to live? Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. One must compete, one must become stronger. You should know that in the primordial cosmos there is reincarnation. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. The same principle applies to the source world governed by the highest rules. There is also reincarnation. One day in the future the entire source world will be destroyed. Those who have not reached the strength of an emperor will all die. No one can save them. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng, and this is just the first calamity. Luo Feng was shocked, yet he felt it was only natural. In his cultivation of the life and destruction origin great Tao, he vaguely sensed the operation of the highest rules. All creatures will ultimately head towards destruction, and only through destruction will there be rebirth. The cycle of the source world is unimaginably long. For many cultivators, it is enough to live for such a prolonged period, said Emperor Chu, but for some powerful ancient existences on the land of origin, they are not content. They are only a step away from transcendence, even to the point of leaving the source world to see more vistas. Of course they will compete. The day of great destruction of the source world is the first calamity, and it is also the calamity you will face in the future, said Emperor Chu. Luo Feng, because you possess high talent and understanding, I am telling you all this. Ordinary beings in the primal chaos realm don't need to worry about these things because they have no hope of surviving the calamity. Thank you, Master, said Luo Feng. He had long heard that aside from the overt powers on the land of origin, many forces in the shadows were stirring trouble as well, like the official members of the 2 realms palace, with the lowest being at the 2nd realm of Godly King. Previously, Luo Feng had wondered why, upon reaching the level of the 2nd realm of Godly King, did one have to lurk in the shadows? Why did they have to stir up trouble and compete? Clearly, those ancient beings were also competing. Competing for opportunities, competing for survival. The struggle for the great Tao is naturally cruel. Cultivate well, only by becoming stronger can you compete for more opportunities, Emperor Chu said. You must be strong enough before the great destruction of the source world, otherwise all is in vain. Luo Feng nodded. Fate is cruel. If a creature is born close to the great destruction, the cultivation time left for this creature will be very short. Disciple will remember, disciple takes his leave, Luo Feng said immediately. Luo Feng also understood that many secrets were probably inaccessible to ordinary godly kings. As the direct disciple of an emperor, the emperor shared so much only because he saw that Luo Feng had sufficient talent. I hope he can reach the strength of an emperor before the destruction of this source world, Emperor Chu silently hoped. Being able to create secret techniques, to achieve transcendence of the primal chaos realm. Emperor Chu was very pleased. With his talent and understanding, there is a great hope of reaching the 2nd realm of Godly King, and naturally, there is a sliver of hope to strive for the level of an emperor. in Flame Wind Ancient Country Yen capital. Emperor Yen is the first emperor of the entire Flame Wind Ancient Country, whose prestige once deterred the entire land of origin. However, with the emergence of one emperor after another, especially with the appearance of Emperor Qing, his influence naturally declined significantly. Emperor Yen Su spoke with the utmost respect, that Luo he infiltrated the heavily fortified border city Xiangjie City, killed several of my avatars and seized my treasures. Before him, a majestic flaming figure stood. He bore a human-like physique, yet with enormous wings of flame, the fire on his wings so intense that Yen Su dared not look directly, and he also had a long scaled tail. His very presence twisted Yen Su's spiritual will. Emperor Yen was an emperor who cultivated the primordial bloodline, and the primordial bloodline within him was naturally extremely powerful and had a horrifyingly potent contaminating effect. Has any creature with the primordial bloodline escaped? The voice of Emperor Yen resounded. No, Yen Su said. When he lifted control over the portal to this world, he had deliberately created a disturbance to attract as many creatures with the primordial bloodline as possible. Useless. Emperor Yan's voice was cold and indifferent. You needn't bother with this matter anymore. Once the heavenly task is over, I will handle it. At present, all 13 branches of the imperial clan are undertaking heavenly tasks, which are matters of great importance. Yes, Yen Su respectfully retreated. A disciple of Emperor Chu, capable of achieving the first transcendence of primal chaos realm? If he has high enough talent, he needs to be kept in check. Emperor Yen was not the least bit pleased. Luo He's strength was of no benefit to the lineage of Emperor Yen. In the past he looked down on Luo He, but now Luo He was gradually showing his threat, and naturally, Emperor Yen also turned his attention towards Luo He. The strength of Luo He meant that Emperor Chu's lineage became stronger, that Emperor Chu's lineage would gain more resources, and consequently the other lineages would have fewer resources. Flame Wind Ancient Country, the border city Xiangjie City, was as bustling as ever, with numerous cultivators going about their normal lives. The underground palace of the garrison mansion. Luo Feng sat cross-legged in the Great Hall, with a full 5 billion black rivers forming the Black River world, suppressing the world's entrance. The creatures of the primordial bloodline had long since departed. Facing the great Tao of life origin, the deeper I comprehend, the more I vaguely sense that countless lives will eventually head towards destruction. It turns out, even this giant braided cage governed by the supreme rules will meet its great destruction. Luo Feng smiled. Being privy to this secret did not bother Luo Feng in the slightest. Back on Earth, when he was still weak, people were born, grew old, fell ill and died, with many not living past 100 years. And what about him? He had grown all the way up to now, even having experienced the reincarnation of the primordial cosmos. And the destruction of the entire origin world from the present day. Who knows how many reincarnation eras there might be. Living until the great destruction of the entire origin world would be a matter of pride. What's there to be dissatisfied with? Luo Feng had long been content, enjoying every single day of his cultivation. Cultivation was never for that final moment, but for every moment along the journey of cultivation. He was pondering the essence of the world's operation while also elevating the essence of his own life. This process in itself was filled with endless joy. Time passed, and the deadline for the heavenly task was about to arrive. Luo Feng also left an avatar on the Blood Spirit Star, carrying a full 3 billion black rivers, for Luo Feng worried that someone might take the opportunity to contend for the Blood Spirit Golden Pearls while he was tasked with suppressing the world's entrance. 3 billion black rivers were enough to discourage the other transcendence of the primal chaos realm. The Blood Spirit Star indeed welcomed its third eruption period. During the eruption period, Luo Feng enveloped that Blood Spirit Star with the Black River world and obtained a total of 53 Blood Spirit Golden Pearls this time. Chu capital Luo Feng's cave dwelling. Brother Luo He, today is the last day of the heavenly task. The rankings are about to come out. Emperor Chu Yu sat opposite Luo Feng, quite nervous at the moment, for the resources of the heavenly task were too important to him. Don't worry, you've made all the efforts you could. Your anxiety won't change the rankings. Luo Feng was leisurely sipping his wine. This time for the Blood Spirit Golden Pearl task, I'm indisputably first and by a large margin. Emperor Chu Yu looked at Luo Feng. The third eruption of the Blood Spirit Star this time, all the first-grade marquises wanted to buy those Blood Spirit Golden Pearls. Brother Luo He, you haven't sold a single one. Those marquises might bear a grudge because of that. Luo Feng continued pouring wine, smiling. Do you think I care about them? Emperor Chu Yu laughed as well. He knew his friend's strength. Even among the first realm of godly king beings in the land of origin, Luo He was considered one of the strongest. First-grade marquis of the imperial clan? There are nearly 100 first-grade marquises in the imperial clan's 13 lineages. This time there are 3 subtasks for the heavenly task. My own 2 subtasks are third and fourth, Emperor Chu Yu said. The subtask you helped with, Brother Luo He, is absolutely first. Combine the 3 subtasks, I don't know which place I'll take, Emperor Chu Yu pondered. I heard Marquis Chu Ying was first in both of his subtasks? Luo Feng inquired. Yes. Emperor Chu Yu nodded. Marquis Chu Ying didn't rely on any external objects either, but understood the Tao just like you, Brother Luo He. His performances in the 2 subtasks were quite impressive. The next godly king of our Emperor Chu's lineage of the imperial clan will likely be him. Luo Feng nodded, as Emperor Qing had also once praised Marquis Chu Ying, indicating his potential and understanding. Of course, in terms of understanding and potential, he is far from matching you, Brother Luo He. Emperor Chu Yu sighed. Brother Luo He, you created a secret technique and became the first to transcend in the primal chaos realm, acknowledged by all forces in the land of origin. It won't be long before you become a godly king. Marquis Chu Ying's potential and understanding were considered excellent among the imperial clan. But Luo Feng was absolutely the first among all in the primal chaos realm. Becoming a godly king is not so easy. Luo Feng shook his head, having comprehended 3 branches of the Great Tao of Life origin and 2 branches of the Great Tao of Destruction origin. Even if he had used the primordial crystal spirit fruit and practiced some secret techniques, he still had not made a breakthrough. Time slowly passed. Not just Emperor Chu's lineage, but all 13 lineages of the Flame Wind Ancient Country's imperial clan, all the first-grade marquises were waiting for the rankings of the heavenly task. In a certain moment, the 13 lineages of the Flame Wind Ancient Country's imperial clan simultaneously revealed the rankings of the heavenly task. It's out, the rankings are out, all sides were paying attention to the news. Chu Capital. The Two Realms Palace, such a waste. Marquis Chu Chang looking at the final rankings. Among the 7 first-grade marquises from Emperor Chu's lineage, Marquis Chu Chang was ranked 4th. Being in the top 3 would have meant a better allocation of resources. The resources for the 4th rank were indeed greatly diminished. In my individual tasks I was 4th and 5th. For the Blood Spirit Golden Pearl task I was 3rd. Marquis Chu Chang shook his head. He was of average level and that's why the Two Realms Palace had chosen him. Unsure of his own prospects, he was willing to share ample resources. Not being in the top 3 means I don't need to give anything to the Two Realms Palace. Marquis Chu Chang snorted, cursing the Two Realms Palace's incompetence while also feeling like he had made some easy gains. Luo Feng's cave dwelling. Emperor Chu Yu and Luo Feng were together, waiting for the final rankings. Second. Emperor Chu Yu's hand trembled so much that his wine cup fell. He excitedly looked at Luo Feng. I'm ranked 2nd. As a newly promoted first-grade marquis, I actually ranked 2nd. Marquis Chu Ying is 1st? Luo Feng asked. Yes, he's 1st and I'm 2nd. Emperor Chu Yu was exhilarated. Marquis Chu Feng is 3rd, Marquis Chu Chang 4th, Marquis Chu Ji 5th, Marquis Chu Lin 6th, Marquis Chu Yuan 7th. Luo Feng nodded, it was all within expectations. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming great videos.